My name is Miki Speer. I am so happy to see you tonight. How are you doing? How are you loving fall? Is this your favorite time of year? Are you getting excited? I know last week we talked about changing seasons. We've talked about a lot this year, and that's actually the point of tonight's show is we are going to be kind of wrapping up our summer season of the Healing Half. But don't worry, we'll absolutely be having more and more coming up. There's no gaps in our season. So even though we are wrapping up summer, we will absolutely just keep going strong next week into fall. But I really was just feeling called to have some time to pause and reflect on all the tidal wave of information we have learned on this show together since May. So that is what tonight is all about, is to kind of make sense of all of it and then head into our next season. And I wanted to share this quote with you guys. It's by Scott F. Fitzgerald, which, if you don't know, is from the Minneapolis area. He says, "Life starts all over again when it gets crisp in the fall." And I just love that. And I'm just feeling that energy today. And I just wanted to say, okay, yes, we're going to get to fall. And we've got such a lineup for you guys. Praise God, I am booked through the end of the year almost, which is crazy. So I have so many speakers coming your way this fall. But before we get to them, I really wanted to take a second to pause and really dive into tonight. So for those of you who don't know me, welcome. My name is Miki Speer. I am a musician. I am an author of My Heart Still Remembers and host of tonight's show, The Healing Half. When my mom was 43 years old, she passed away from cancer, and I was only 13 at that time. And I spent the better part of a decade running away from any feeling, from any emotion. And that obviously only can happen for so long. So what I wanted to do, now that I'm many years past that point, and I've gone through tons of counseling, done lots and lots of research, and continue to do both of those things, I wanted to start a show that gave us a space for a quick touch base every single week to learn more about how we can address our own wounds and learn how we can help those around us better. It's a two-way street, right? And ultimately, if we can't learn to help ourselves, we're not going to be very much help to other people. So it's absolutely all connected. And I wanted to make this show have one goal and one goal only. And that was to give you tools to live fully present and fully filled with joy, whatever life brings. So tonight we are pausing to reflect and notice some patterns, which of course is quite appropriate as we start to see the leaves change and that season naturally come to an end. So I'm just really excited for tonight. So if you like that quote, just let me know in the comment section that you're here. It's good to see all of you. And if you're watching this live, feel free to comment still. And if you're watching it as a replay, feel free to comment also, because I go through every single comment after the show. And I love to see who is here, answer any questions you have, and see what comments resonated most with you. So please keep me posted in the comment section, your feelings throughout this episode. And if you haven't liked the Facebook page yet, which should be either here or here, depending on where you're watching it, or there, please be sure to like the Miki Speer, The Healing Half Facebook page. I'm going to be, this fall, we're going to just turn it up a notch. You know, we're really diving in, and we're going to be posting more motivational content from me, from guest speakers throughout the week. So you're going to want to make sure you're following along, and hopefully that can just reinforce the good vibes you already have in your day. So one of the massive parts of this show that makes it so, I think, unique is we love to incorporate music. So music makes us smile. Music can make us cry. Music can make us laugh. It can make us think back to when we were kids. It can get us excited for the future. Music is absolutely amazing. And I, as a musician, love to share my own stuff. But we have the absolute pleasure of hosting someone you've actually met before on our show, Heather Ray, tonight. She is an absolute gem. She's one of my dearest friends in the industry. So without further ado, please welcome Heather.
Hi. That's very kind of Miki. She said, my name is Heather, and I think it's rather ironic that you're talking about seasons tonight because my song is actually about seasons. It is titled What Some in Minnesota May Consider a Swear Word. It's called Snow in Tennessee. And for those of you that don't know me, I moved to Nashville in January, and one of the reasons why I was excited about moving to Nashville was I thought that the winters, which I was used to growing up in North Dakota and then living in Minnesota, I thought the winters would be way different with no snow. And within a week of moving there to Nashville, it snowed. And while the winters aren't as harsh there as they are in Minnesota or in North Dakota, I was still so disappointed that there was snow. And so anyway, it inspired me to write this song. So it's called Snow in Tennessee. Hope you enjoy. I grew up in a little town where snow always on the ground. I dreamed of running somewhere far, somewhere fun, somewhere warm. 'Cause every time the snow fell down, it felt like prison in a nowhere town. So I headed south on 65 to Tennessee just to feel sunshine. But today there's snow in Tennessee. It's like a storm followed me. Oh, I wanna be somebody else, but I can't outrun myself. 'Cause here I am, the same old me. And there's still snow in Tennessee. Came all this way, didn't know I'd find. I chased an old pipe dream of mine, trying to shake this bitter cold, this chasing after fool's gold. 'Cause even here the snow falls down and it feels like prison in a nowhere town. But maybe I wasn't running from the cold. Maybe it was me and I didn't wanna know. Well, today there's snow in Tennessee. It's like a storm follow me. Oh, I wanna be somebody else, but I can't outrun myself. 'Cause here I am, the same old me. And there's still snow in Tennessee. But it was never the place, never the town, never the snow falling on the ground. It was always me. Ooh. Well, today there's snow in Tennessee. Like a piece of home followed me. Oh, I thought I'd be somebody else, but instead I found myself. I'm finally glad to be just me. And for the snow in Tennessee.
Oh my goodness, Heather Ray music. Get out of town. Your voice, your strength in your voice is, I have like goosebumps on my arm. So thank you so much for sharing. I love the message of that beautiful song. I'm sorry there is snow in Tennessee. Admittedly, I didn't know that either. Now I'm like, oh gosh, maybe maybe I don't want to move there.
It was very brief. The snow happened, it melted, it was gone. The song is rather dramatic for how little snow there is there, but I figured run with an idea. So
that's what us musicians have to do, right? Fuse just a little bit of drama in everything we do.
absolutely.
Oh, well, Heather, thank you so much for being here. I can't wait to have you back on in November. And for all of you guys paying attention to the comments, those lyrics are fantastic. I love the twist at the end where you're like, I'm finally accepting that I am part of this and I am loving myself. What an awesome message. Perfectly in line with the healing half. And if you guys please head to her Facebook page. It's in the comments. You do not want to miss this Nashville Rising Star.
Appreciate it.
See you later. Yep. Bye.
Bye.
Oh, you guys, I love being able to hear other musicians' original works and just being able to sit and soak in those lyrics. Wasn't that beautiful? I know Heather's going to go back through and look at the comments. If you liked her song, even if you're watching it as a replay, let her know. I know I sure did. Well, speaking of music and all that stuff, both Heather and I are on Spotify. So if you haven't yet, give us a follow. We'd, of course, love to share any new music we have with you coming out. But I kind of wanted to talk about the show a little bit more before we dive into our themes and just give a recap of this amazing time we have had together thus far. And as a reminder, we are not shutting down. We are just getting started, but it's still good to celebrate a season well done. So back in April, I had a vision. I had this vision that I was going to go out in Minneapolis and I was going to play 2 open mics every week. And I was getting like all ready for it. I was so nervous. I was scared, but I was like, I'm going to go network and meet other local musicians and get my name out there. And then, as you know how the story ends, everything shut down, which is fine. But I quickly had to pivot and I realized, what am I going to do? I want to still put out my music. I want to still connect with people. How do I do that? And I don't know where this came from, but I just had this idea to start the show because I can do this anytime. As you guys know, I've done it in Miami. I've done it in Duluth. I can do this from anywhere. And you can do this from anywhere. We're an open mic, only like 5-10 people in the audience who are local could make it. So I am just so blown away by how far the show has come in just a few short months. And it's all possible because of you guys. So I am so glad that summer was great. I'm ready for fall though, too. So I just wanted to give a quick little recap of how far we have come. I want to give a special thank you to our 8 sponsors who have sponsored episodes that help keep the lights on here. So thank you so much. We've had several anonymous givers as well. And I know you guys want to remain anonymous, but please know, I know who you are. And I am so grateful for you and your gifts. We've had 16 episodes so far. This is the 17th one with 9 musical guests, 10 if you include myself, 9 guest speakers, 15 dearly missed dedications. And we threw an event in the summer called Grace in Space, and we had over 20 people there. And last but certainly not least, we have, of course, many people have downloaded their free copy of My Heart Still Remembers, which if you haven't yet, please do so. I want to make sure you have a copy of that. Just head up to the very top, comment, and join my email list. But also, we've had dozens of people buy a hard copy off of Amazon, and I personally prefer the hard copy. And I'm just so grateful for every single person who has watched the show, and I tallied it up. We've had over 20,000 views of the all 16 episodes. So if you break it down, over 20,000 views. That's unbelievable. Praise God, right? Oh my gosh. I am just so grateful for that. I am so excited for this fall. And if you have any questions or things you'd like to see on the show, please send me a message. I would love to hear what you want to hear. And if you would like a reminder for anytime there's a live show so we can interact in the comments a little bit together, just let me know. Before every show, I send out over 50 reminders to people, just letting them know this is the link. You can either watch it live or as a replay. And that seems to be a lot easier for people to keep on their radars. So if I can help you with that, just send me a message or an email after the show, and I'd love to do that for you. So tonight, we are talking about some common themes from the show that we can hopefully carry with us as we continue to go into this new season. Again, 16 episodes, that's 16 different topics, but I'm sure a couple of you, I know you guys are all so smart, noticed there were some underlying currents that really came through multiple times. And so I wanted to take this time to pause and address a couple of them so that for you who have watched most of the episodes, you can join me and come into this nice conclusion. And then for those of you who maybe you've only watched a couple or this is your first time, you can know what we talked about in the past. So going into the fall, you feel like you have a pretty good foundation about what this show is about. And whether this is your first time or you've been a dear watcher and you've watched every single one, I just want you to know I am so grateful for you. I want you to know that your story and your journey matters, and whatever you are dealing with matters too. Nothing is too small to talk about. So I'm so glad you are here. I'm so glad we can talk about healing and being more present and being more loving together. And I just can't wait to see where this community goes. So, theme number 1 came up a lot. My dad, when we interviewed him about losing a wife with kids at home, when we had Kristen on the show, who was a life coach, when we had my cousin Emily come on talking about what it was like to be married to someone with a really severe illness, this theme came up a ton. And it was the importance of putting your needs first. We've got 3 themes tonight, but this one I wanted to lay down as our foundation, because if we don't take that seriously and we don't actually put that to use, it doesn't matter what the 2 other themes are, because when our tank is empty, we can't drive for somebody else, right? We are so depleted. We are exhausted. We are emotional. We don't know why we're so sad, but we are, right? All those things happen when all we do is give, or go, 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 go. So some easy ways to put your needs first that we talked about on the show is to establish boundaries, right, with people in your life and just say, hey, I need to take some time for me. I can't do that, whatever that is, this weekend. Or, hey, babe, I just need a couple hours to myself to journal and to process some stuff that I'm going through. Telling other people that you need time for yourself means that you are putting it out into the world that this is important to you. I think it's so natural for us to want to put any self-care, anything that we really talk about on the show, I guess. It's so easy for us to want to kind of keep that in our little secret pocketbook. But I think that if we don't tell other people that's what we're doing or that that's important to us, 2 things happen. The first one is they're not going to expect us to do it. So when we kind of say, oh, I'm busy tonight, when you really know you need to pause and do stuff, but you don't tell them why, they might push back and say, oh, busy doing what? Like, you're not doing anything. I can see on my phone, the tracker, you're at home. Like, get over here. Let's go have some fun. And if you're not confident in that, like, no, I need to be here tonight to take care of some mental health, they're not going to know that, and they're not going to be able to support you with that, which leads us to the second reason. Telling other people about your mental health journey is so important. And we always think mental health means mental health illness. We all have mental health. We all have brains. We all have jobs and stress and family and friends and all that stuff. Therefore, we all need to take mental health seriously. So when we tell people, hey, I am going to journal, I'm going to the counselor, I need to step back from this, and I need to just simply stop doing that, we are putting it out into the world, and we're telling them mental health for myself is important. And we give them the opportunity to ask us questions about that. And we also give them an opportunity to maybe pause and think for themselves, geez, I really like Miki. I understand she's not perfect. And it's okay that she can't do this thing I want her to do. It's kind of cool that she said no. Maybe I can start saying no, right? And that's kind of our wrapping up theme 1 is when we give ourselves permission to heal, when we give ourselves permission to put our needs first. The best part of that, yes, it's good for ourselves, of course, but the best part of it is we give other people permission too. And that's the beautiful thing that we hear over and over and over again in the show. And I need to hear it every morning, right? Is if some days, for whatever reason, you just can't put your needs first, remember to do it for other people, right? Because if you set the example, this is how I take care of myself. This is how I make sure my emotions are respected, it gives other people a pause and saying, huh, that's interesting. I know it's cheesy, but I love the saying anyways. Be the light you want to see in the world. And that starts with putting your needs first. So if you have friends in your life who are constantly depleted, stressed, crying, and hey, don't get me wrong, I'm there too frequently, right? And this is why we talk about it so we can bounce back from it. But if you have friends that are really, really struggling, maybe you could lead by example. Because we can talk till we're blue in the face, but ultimately actions speak so much louder than words. And putting our needs first, especially when it comes to mental health and finding quiet time and processing time, that all takes time. That's definitely a great way we can lead by example. Does any of that resonate with you? Give me just like a thumbs up or a yeah in the comment section. I want to know if there's anything that jumps out at you. Just send me a little note of any of the favorite things that you're picking out, because I love to hear what resonates with you guys most. The second thing that we're going to kind of, as far as themes go, talk about is what happens when we're upset. That's really, really important to talk about, right? And upset's kind of a broad word. It could be when something's bothering you. It could be grief. It could be stress. It could be anxiety. It could be so many things. But one of the themes that we really talked about was when something bothers us, the importance of the pause. I paused right there. I don't know if that was, I thought it was funny. Probably didn't. Anyways, the importance of the pause is that when we have emotions rising up, it is way easier to go, I've got to go get groceries and my sink needs cleaning and I forgot to take the dog for a walk and because when we pause and we go into deep emotions, we know it can be hard. And sometimes our body doesn't want to do the hard things. Heck, that's probably why I am not a marathon runner, right? I do not want to run very much, so I avoid running. But there are some things I understand are very, very important to do, even if it's hard. And learning to process our emotions is one of the biggest themes. So theme 2 is giving every emotion you feel space. This was talked about almost in every single episode we had, whether it was asking, as you're pausing, am I triggered by something? This was episode 2, I believe, and it was one of the most convicting ones for me. If something getting under my skin, dig deeper. Why? What is God trying to teach me in this moment? How can I recognize this as a blessing in this moment, right? So identifying, is it a trigger? Another thing we can ask ourselves when we're feeling stuff, even if we can't define it, is it real, right? We had somebody come in and talk about fear and how a lot of the fears we have, if not all of the fears we have, are simply not true. And when we live in the future, we are imagining the worst, and those aren't even true, right? We assume the worst is going to happen, but there's just an equal flip a coin. There's an equal chance it's going to be the best day of your life, right? And so you got to ask yourself, is this a trigger? Is this real? Spend time putting words to what you feel. Spend time, whether it's talking to somebody or my personal favorite, which is journaling. Spend time giving it space and just kind of sitting with it. And no matter how small that emotion is, we've got to give it space, because practice makes perfect. And we don't like the word perfect on this show. You guys know that, but you know what the saying means. When we can practice with the small things, like perhaps, it's sad that summer is coming to an end. Ask yourself, did I pause? Did I process that emotion? If not, set 10 minutes and do that, because the more you can recognize, pause, and process, the better you're going to get at it. The more time you're going to give yourself, the better you're going to feel afterwards, for sure. I know I was up till, I think, 12:30 last night journaling because I had to process a lot of stuff. And I just turned to my husband. It was like 10:30. I was like, I've got to go journal. Like, I am just such a nut right now that if I don't go take some time, I'm going to be up till 4 in the morning spinning my wheels, right? So I needed to take time, and it was an emotional night. I just had a lot of stuff and a lot of anxieties on my mind. I'm sure, amen, right? Who hasn't been there? But afterwards, I felt so good. I felt so good. And that's what I want for all of you guys, is to learn how to deal and how to feel. Another way to say that is learn the process of processing. So that way, when life throws you harder curveballs, your muscles are already stronger for that. So, and then last but certainly not least, I just want to kind of plug again, that's the whole point of the show, right? My journey to this show, I'm going to put the link in the comment section, is about how I spent all of my years after my mom died not processing. So that's where this book comes in. If you haven't yet, please let me know. I'd love to get you a copy, whether it's free on my website. If you're in the Minneapolis area, I can drop them off personally, or order them off of Amazon. So make sure you give space to process. And then the last theme, the big theme that as I did through all my notes and I rewatched so many episodes and really pulled it apart and been like, what is the meat here? The last theme everybody wants to know about is, what do I do when someone is hurting? We all want to know. Who hasn't sat at a funeral and been like, I have no idea what to say. I feel awkward. I feel like nothing I say is right. I feel like I'm not doing enough. We've all had those things. And it's not just about grief. It could be, again, if back to my cousin Emily's story, her spouse was really, really, really sick. So how do we help people in those moments? So the theme that I wanted to kind of, for theme 3, was the importance of being there, doing something, right? And then the target, you guys, you know I love the target. I'm going to explain it for you one more time if you're brand new. All of us have relationships in our lives, and they kind of rank into 3 areas. We've got our outside ring, right? Those are people we barely know, if not strangers. We kind of move into acquaintances. Then we get a little bit closer to like friends. We kind of hang out, and then we get to our core group, which is your 911 people, the people you consider closest to you in the entire world, and that's the center of your target. Each ring has a different level of what is appropriate, right? Some common ones that were talked about from my dad's episode and Emily's episode were just anybody, even if you're like off the target, they have no clue who you are. A gift card for food is never, ever, ever gone wasted. So that's a really, really, really easy way to be able to help out a family, because meals are hard, take a lot of prep, and they're expensive. And oftentimes when there's health involved or sometimes death involved, money might be tight. It's not an appropriate question to ask them, of course not, but giving that is never going to be a wasted gift. Another kind of theme that we really heard from the people who shared their stories is, don't compare, be there. I'm going to say that again. Don't compare, be there. One of my favorite things that Emily said on her episode was people assumed her life was like their life. They just assumed that she went home and had like a normal evening like everybody else, but she was running to the ER. She was trying to cram in house chores while going to grab packing hospital bags. Her life was not normal. My dad's life after my mom died was not normal. None of our lives are normal after a loss, right? And that's okay, because we don't have to be the same person we were before the loss. But it's not a great practice to start off with, I don't know exactly what you're going through, but I had this other thing happen, and I'm pretty sure I understand what you're going through. Rarely does that land. The only time my dad said that, bringing up your own story makes sense is when it's really close. Because sometimes having a comrade in the fight and somebody who understands what you're going through is really, really nice. So don't make it about you and say, oh yeah, well, my mom also died when I was young, and let me tell you more about it. And blah, 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 blah. Right. So you can share it. And then I would still say, turn it back on them, right? And then still focus on them. You don't have to, they're not your counselor, right? You're there to help them out. And that's important to kind of keep in mind. So unless it's like a really close situation that you think having some camaraderie in it would be really, really helpful, like it is helpful to know other people have lost their moms when they're young. Like I always love hearing that because I identify with that. But other times when people, say other losses, and I don't want to diminish any loss because every loss is hard, but there's some that just have not landed well. And I don't even have to go into it where you're just like, ooh, not the same. That makes me feel worse. Thank you for diminishing my pain, sarcastically, of course. So that's the thing. Another thing we talked about is when someone else is hurting, we've got the target, so the closer you are to the middle, the more involved you can be. And the more I'd encourage you to put things on your calendar for follow-ups. It's really easy to help a week after somebody dies. It's a lot harder to remember to help out 3 months after somebody's died, but the pain is really strong then too. But not only is timeline important, being consistent, especially if they're in your inner group. Oh man, I cannot tell you how many people I've talked to who have said, you know what? There were some people on my outer ring who were there for me more than my 911 people. And that hurt. Ugh. That just makes me want to cry. And I hope that through the show, no one's ever in that spot on either end of that one again. But then, of course, ask yourself, what gifts do I have that are specifically that I could use to help this person? I know we've got so many creative people in this audience. I know I won't call anybody out, but I just know so many of you are so gifted from a crafts perspective. A lot of you are so musical. Some of you are the best listeners I've ever met. And I know that is a gift because I'm not the greatest at that. Some of you are phenomenal cooks, bakers, musicians, painters, whatever God has gifted you with. It doesn't have to be perfect. I'd encourage you to use your special gift to help people kind of closer to the ring that would really appreciate a gift from you in that way. So to summarize, you guys, this show has been amazing. It's been a great summer, and it's all because of you and my amazing guests and sponsors who have made this possible. The 3 big takeaways is put your own needs first. Really, it is so, so, so important. You matter. You only have one life. And if you don't want to rush till you're 75 and, and just pretend nothing that rocks your boat and just avoid. Because when we process, we can be present. And life is so much sweeter when we are present. Even if it's hard, right? I'm not trying to diminish pain because that's hard to do, but it is so important. Theme 2, when something bothers you, it could be something massive, like a death loss, to something a little bit smaller, like, oh my gosh, I'm having an issue with a coworker at work. Process the process, right? Give yourself space, really work that muscle, because that is one of the best things you can possibly invest in, one of the best uses of your time. And last, but certainly not least, when someone is hurting, remember the target. Remember to be present, to be there in a way that is appropriate for the situation. You guys, I'm so grateful for you. Thank you again so much for being here. Thank you to all my sponsors and everybody who has donated to the show. You mean the absolute world to me, whether you have donated or not. I am just so grateful for this summer, for this journey. I can't wait to see what life has ahead. So if you don't mind, help get the word out. That's kind of one of my goals in this new season, is to just get more exposure to the show. So thank you so much for all of you who share the episode, who comment friends' names in the comments, who you think would enjoy the show. Thank you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. That means the world. That is the best compliment you could possibly give me. So thank you so much. Next week, you guys, we have a miracle on the show. I'm not kidding you. Like, straight up, this man, I won't tell too much of his story, but he was a quadriplegic, diagnosed straight up, and a year later, after an accident, was walking and able to do an entire bike ride, like race, again, which is never heard of, ever heard of. You will not want to miss his story. It's going to be out of this world, impactful, tear-filled. I can't wait. And that's next week. So thank you guys so much. Mwah! Have an amazing fall, you guys. You all deserve it. Bye.